Hello and welcome to Deal with the Devil, where we talk Manchester United. We are coming off the back of yet another defeat. Manchester United are becoming, predictable, really. We know they're going to lose. Before watching the match, I went for a walk with my wife, and I said to her, we're going to lose this game. We are going to lose this game like we have lost the last one and the one before that and the one before that. This is becoming predictable. We know what's going to happen. And let's be totally honest, it wasn't as bad as this under Ten Hag. It wasn't as bad as this under Ollie. It wasn't as bad as this under Jose, which is incredible, really, because things went to hell during Jose. Things pretty much went to hell during Ollie and Ten Hag, for that matter, too. I have trust in Amorim, but things are looking a little bit dodgy at this stage. Things are not comfortable by any stretch of the imagination. But we can talk about Amorim later. Man United versus Newcastle. If we look at the lineups, we had Onana, De Ligt, Maguire, Martinez, Mazraoui, Casemiro, Eriksen, Diogo Dalot, Diallo, Kirkzee and Højlund. That team is not going to strike fear into anybody. But, ironically, it is filled with seasoned internationals, players that have had phenomenal careers, and yet we play like absolute garbage. Onana was considered one of the best goalkeepers in the world before he joined Manchester United. Bayern Munich, the fans, had a protest of some sort, signature protest about not wanting to sell De Ligt. Harry Maguire was wanted by Manchester City, and they refused based on the price. Martinez was heckled a wee bit coming into the league. Okay, so I'll give that one. However, World Cup winner. He took a lot of plaudits in his first season at Man United. Since that, it has dropped off due to his injury worries and concerns like that. Mazraoui's not set the world alight in terms of his professional career. However, joining Manchester United, he has been super consistent apart from the last couple of games. I think that's a positional issue personally, but not bang on form. Casemiro falling off a cliff. Eriksen beside him. Neither of these players Amorim clearly wants. Neither of them. They did not get really a look in for a long time. He's only been here a short time, but in the vast majority of games where games have been meaningful and they've been more difficult, they've not had a look in. And yet they were our pairing today, and of course that had to happen due to Agate and Bruno, but we can come to them. Diogo Dalot playing on the left hand side again. He's a right footer. It just does not make sense. I know there's no alternative, really. There is in Tyrell Malacia, but sorry, Malacia, you're not an alternative. That's not going to work. So we have to play Diogo there. There's no way around it. Now, Diogo has been a super servant for Manchester United. I didn't think he was going to make it. Whenever Jose signed him from Porto, he said we were getting the best young fullback in Europe. That hasn't really panned out. I did think that we would end up selling him, especially when he went on loan to AC Milan. I thought, no, this hasn't worked. Another waste of money by Manchester United. But in fairness to him, he has had a better career than I gave him credit for. But recently, this season, really poor. Not in his natural position, wants to take it inside when really we need someone bounding up that wing. Amad Diallo, who has been great. However, going off the boil the last couple of matches, things not really falling into place for him like they have been previously. I also think that's maybe a positional thing. I don't know if any of you will agree with me, but I actually think he shouldn't be playing in that sort of, it's not quite a number 10 role, It's not quite an attacking midfielder role. What is it? I don't think he should be there. I think he actually suited the wing-back position, because that suits what Amarim wants to play. He wants to play with those really dynamic, attacking wingers as fullbacks, as wingbacks, sorry. And so I actually think he was better suited to that, because it was in fits and bursts that he attacked. It wasn't this consistent ball comes to him, ball comes to him, ball comes to him, runs out of steam. He almost needs somebody out there as a distraction, because Mazraoui can't really attack. He's not very good at attacking. It's not his wheelhouse. He is much better at defending, much better, which is worrisome as well, because it's a bit Aaron Wan-Bissaka-esque in that sometimes Mazraoui makes these fantastic tackles. Doesn't always. Gave away a penalty last week, but quite frequently it's defensive work that he shines. He's very good at harrying and hassling an attacker on the ball and taking the ball from them. Continuing with the lineup, we then had Joshua Kirkzee, who I feel for. I really do feel for. Fans are really upset with his performance. They're really upset with what he has done so far, and I feel for him. I've no doubt he's trying his best. I've no doubt that there definitely is a player there, unquestionably is a player there, but it's just not working here. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes a player arrives and it just, for whatever reason, cannot work. However, everything that came to him today was atrocious. He couldn't trap the ball, and whenever he did, he lost it immediately with a terrible pass. And I mean, 5, 6, 7 yard passes were just so bad. He wasn't the only one. Casemiro had some atrocious passing as well, and his legs have completely gone. There was at one stage, I think it was in the first half, where Newcastle just did triangles around him, and he didn't even attempt a professional foul. He was that far removed from the action. He just couldn't do it. Then we have Højlund. Another player I do feel for. He is clearly a talent, but he's getting so frustrated. He's getting so frustrated with our build-up play, with the balls being played into him. I'll have to be honest. I didn't see this today, but in our last match, I can't even remember who that was against. It's just been misery after misery. I'm just checking. Our last match was, of course, it was Wolves. The amount of times he wanted played in, the amount of times he was making runs and wasn't getting it, and he was furious, and rightly so. People might disagree with me, but I think that's a good sign, because he wants to win. He wants to score. He wants to be the man in the middle. He wants to be our main man up front. He doesn't want to take second best. He wants to be involved. I think that's a great sign, but he's getting so frustrated with the play. He's getting so frustrated when things are going slowly. He wants to be sharp. And there were many times in that Wolves match where he made super runs and people just didn't find him. In this Newcastle match, well, Shaw is a deceptively good defender. When he arrived under Steve Bruce, I thought, this guy is garbage. Dan Burn, we know about the rise of Dan Burn in the last number of years. Once he arrived from Brighton, I don't think anyone expected him to be as good as he's been. I know some people actually said there's no chance he'll be starting this year, no chance whatsoever. He's been more than consistent. You know, if you're playing balls into Højlund, you've got Shaw, who can rattle in really quickly when it's low, and you've got Dan Burn, who can go in when it's high. So it was a difficult day for Højlund. You've also got in the back Hall, who was up and down that wing. He was superb, really superb. It's amazing how Chelsea let him go. I know it was really for financial reasons, but it's amazing. Trippier was incredibly solid. He was taken off eventually. There seemed to be a sort of a hamstring issue, but he wanted to stay on. He was brilliant as well. He's so dependable, and I know that we were in for him a number of years ago. We decided not to go for it. Part of me thinks we probably could have saved ourselves a lot of hassle if we just had have paid a wee bit extra for someone who was admittedly a wee bit older and someone who we admittedly would have to replace eventually. But we did that. We got Wan-Bissaka instead, and we have since replaced him. So he wouldn't have been a bad option off the bench. And he can play in the left. He's quite comfortable on the left. We've seen him do it for England, for example. So that was the United lineup. On paper, there's a lot to be said for that. Onana, international. De Ligt, international. Maguire, international. Martinez, international. World Cup winner. Mazraoui, international. Casemiro, seasoned international, no longer being chosen for his country. Eriksen, international. Diogo Dalot, international. Diallo, international. Kirkzee, international team. He doesn't necessarily always start or always play, but he's in there. Well, he won't be for the next one. And Højlund, international. These are experienced players. Experienced players. You know, even with Højlund, and I'm a wee bit biased because Højlund's got my backing, he has been here now a season already. He is used to the Premier League. He is used to competitive men's football. He knows what to expect now. I'm keen to give him plenty of time because I think he could be fantastic. He needs service though. He needs help. It's really unfair for someone so young to be leading the line for Manchester United. You know, it would be completely different if he was leading the line for Fulham. And there's no disrespect to Fulham whatsoever. They're having a great season. I think they're a great wee club, and that sounds disrespectful. I think they're a great club. I really do. Run quite well, managed really well. But if he was leading the line for Fulham, there wouldn't be nearly the amount of scrutiny that is on him when it comes to leading the line for Manchester United. Going back to the lineup again with the full internationals, just compare that to Newcastle. I mean, okay, Dubravka is international, Trippier is a seasoned international, no longer chosen for his country, Shaw's international, Dan Burn, nope. Hall is not. Bruno Guimaraes, yep, he is certainly. Tonali, yep, certainly. Joelinton, yeah, certainly. Jacob Murphy, nope. And he's been great. He's been such a surprise in the last couple of years. He has come on leaps and bounds. Really, really impressive. Isak, yep, plays for Sweden. Gordon, yep, plays for England. When, Gareth Southgate allowed him for about 10 seconds or so. We have the superior team there in terms of internationals, in terms of experience, but we have bought so poorly, and maybe that's unfair. Because if Onana had went to Newcastle, he probably would be the best goalkeeper in the league. If Casemiro had went to Arsenal, he'd probably still be in the Brazil squad. What are we doing wrong? What's happening? I struggle with this because I can't believe that a player can go to Liverpool, for example, and almost regardless of who they buy, they're a major success. Like Tsimikas, for example. I mean, I would guarantee there's maybe 3% of Manchester United fans who would say, yeah, I would take him. Most of us would say, no chance. He's shit. However, he plays great. Whenever he comes on, he's part of a unit that collectively plays so well that it brings up his performance. But what is it that they can buy a player and ensure he gives a good 7 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10 on a consistent basis, whereas we get De Ligt, who I really like, but plays like Bambi on ice, almost all over the place at times, as if he's unsure why he's still a professional footballer. It's really, really difficult to watch. In terms of the match itself, for me personally, I look at the time we had under Jose Mourinho, and for me, that was the worst time I had watching Man United. That doesn't mean it was the lowest I felt as a Man United fan or anything like that. It was just whenever I watched the team play, I thought, this is horrible to watch. This is painful to watch. It's embarrassing that we're playing so poorly. And one game always sticks out to me, and it's West Brom. I honestly can't remember the score. It may have been 0-0. It may have been a West Brom win. It may have been the time after we beat Man City and then we played West Brom and they beat us. I honestly cannot remember. I just remember us playing so badly, being so unable to break them down, being so unable to create any clear chances. It just felt like that today. Now, we've had Eric, we've had Ollie. I've never felt that bad. I mean, you could look at that Liverpool 7-0 game. I didn't even feel as bad in that match as I did in the first 33 minutes today before Cobby came on. In that 7-0 defeat, everything went right for Liverpool. Every time they took a shot, it went in. It was just one of those weird days. But oddly, we played well. We made chances. We should have been in front in that match. We just didn't take it. Now, you might think I'm sounding stupid. We 100% deserve to lose. They, attacking wise, were phenomenal. They blew us out of the water. But did we play so badly that it was almost confusion at your team? No, they didn't. I looked today and thought, you guys are all playing abysmal. You can't pass. You've no creativity. You don't know how to break this team down. In the Liverpool match, we did know how to break them down. We knew how to. We just didn't. We didn't take our chances. We made chances. And if we had have taken the first chance, if we had have been 1-0 up against Liverpool, I doubt they would have won 7-1. We would have had our tails up. They would have been maybe a wee bit more worried or concerned. We may have went for it a bit more. It's hard to say. It's if horses were courses, we don't know. We don't know. However, when I compare it with today's match, I just think United played so badly. And it was unforgivable. It was unforgivable. It goes to show how much we missed Bruno. I actually really think we missed Agate as well, just to bite in, clip in at the heels. Ironically, a lot of people point in France to Newcastle's match with Paris Saint-Germain when Agate played, and Newcastle hurried and harried him in that match, and he gave up possession quite frequently. And then we play Newcastle today and he's missing. So I don't know how he would have fared. It is interesting though, that parallel. It's interesting as well that I also think Agate has been relatively decent on the ball when I've seen him. I was worried about how he would be in the press based on that Newcastle match. He hasn't disappointed me that much. I haven't looked at him and thought, no, you don't know what you're doing. So we maybe did miss him today. It would have been interesting to see him anyway instead of Casemiro. He would have had more about him. I feel guilty because I'm criticising Casemiro here. I actually think we could have used him in the last couple of matches, especially for his height. I think that would have been really, really helpful. But today, yeah, pretty useless. Pretty useless. The elephant in the room for this match really is Joshua Kirkzee. Having been atrocious for 33 minutes, Kobbie Mainoo come on, and we'll get to him. But Kirkzee went off the pitch. He walked down the tunnel. The cameras were delighted to show that. And I was concerned. I thought this is the end of his career. I mean, Ronaldo can do that and get away with it with a bit of a slap on the wrist. This kid's no Ronaldo. This kid's playing so badly that he does not need this. He does not need this whatsoever. Thankfully, he came back up from the tunnel. Now, I don't know if Amorim has addressed that. I don't know if he's been questioned about it. However, I would have personally brought that up and said, no, it wasn't. He wasn't being petulant. He wasn't being childish. He needed the loo. He was feeling unwell. That's why we took him off. I would have incorporated it into the reason I took him off, him walking down the tunnel. I would have tried to protect him because he's having such a hard time of it. There are the current links with Juventus, and I'm sure there's a number of Italian teams would actually love to have him. AC Milan would love to have him. Roma would love to have him. Inter, I'm sure, would love to have him as well. It just won't be for out-and-out cash. It'll be for loan, and maybe... I doubt Italian teams can even give obligation to buy anymore. They're really strapped for cash. But we know there's a player in there. If you look at his highlights for Bologna, he was great. He was really, really exciting. He is capable. It's just a shame. It would have been great actually to allow him to have one last year at Bologna, especially because they're in the Champions League. Just so we had that experience. He had that growing up a wee bit. I mean, he's not a child. He's in his early 20s. You know, he's not as young as Garnacho, for example. But just to give him that opportunity to play with more difficult opposition on a more regular basis. It would have been good. It would have been good for him. But yeah, he was atrocious today. I'm going to take a break now. Come back. We'll talk about Cobby's introduction. We'll look forward to Liverpool, and we'll talk a wee bit about Bruno as well. Also, a wee bit on the future. I'm worried about the future. Stay with us. Welcome back. We were talking about the Newcastle United match and how abysmal we were. Things did change. Things took a turnaround whenever Cobby came on. There was a wee bit of control in the match. It seemed as though Amorim had said, right, you three go in the middle, Casemiro, Cobby and Eriksen. Eriksen maybe went a wee bit more forward. Well, they changed it round a wee bit because there were times that Casemiro was the furthest of the three men forward. And it certainly blunted Newcastle. They struggled to get another shot on target. And Cobby's been awful this season. I really, really like Cobby, but he has been atrocious this season. So credit to him that he came on and he made a massive impact. There was just that sense of control in the match, and there was some creative impetus. There was some attacking intent that was missing. That was completely void, to be perfectly honest. I'm sure Højlund in that whole match, up until Cobby's introduction, thought, I'm not going to get a touch in the box today. I'm barely getting a pass between the lines here. It's not going to happen for me today. And it came, eventually. In saying that, we still didn't make Dubravka work. He didn't have a save to make for the whole match. However, there was just that little bit of control. And there was that sense in the stadium that we can actually do something here. We're back in this match. They are not dominating and controlling like they were the first 33 minutes. Because they did. They absolutely dominated us. I think it was something like 69% possession. Maybe that's exceeding it. Maybe it was 61%. Something along those lines. But how dare we allow a team to come to Old Trafford and dominate us? That's pathetic. Absolutely and utterly pathetic. So, Cobby made a massive difference. It was great to see him actually play with a wee bit of flair, a wee bit of intent to take responsibility on his shoulders. Because I was worried about him this season. I was really worried about him this season in terms of his last couple of performances have been so poor. He's been letting himself down. And I thought, this is not good. This is not good at all. But he came in today and he was the main man. He was the absolute main man. If you look around, Casemiro, legs are gone. Eriksen cannot get around the pitch the same way he did before. Diogo Dalot always wants to come in to the right hand side, into the centre, and it doesn't work. Mazraoui's not very good at going forward. It needed someone to boss that match a wee bit, and Cobby did that. He did it really, really well. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for us to do any damage to Newcastle, which leads us on to missing Bruno. Now, Bruno gets criticism left, right and centre. Not just from outside pundits who criticise how he gesticulates with his arms, how he complains. I mean, and I find that ridiculous. And it's not just the opposition. Our own fans do that as well. Have you never been to Old Trafford? Have you ever been to a professional match? Look at the players. Many of them do that. Many of them do that. I remember going to Old Trafford years ago on a more regular basis than I get to now. And Ryan Giggs being the biggest complainer on the pitch that I've ever seen in my life. He would give Bruno a really good run for his money. If Ryan Giggs did not get the ball he wanted, he would let you know about it. If Roy Keane wanted to tell you that you're not performing, he let you know. Now, rightly or wrongly, times have changed in terms of what you can say and what you can do to people. So Roy wouldn't work in today's footballing world. He wouldn't really work in the working world as a boss. So, and this is coming from a huge Roy Keane fan. I love Roy Keane. I absolutely love him. I wish we were still in those days. I looked at that match today actually and thought, this is boring. What we really need and what would have happened years ago, someone would have made a real tackle. Someone would have put the cat amongst the pigeons and happily said, I'll take a yellow here. This will get the fans up, but I'm taking somebody. I am taking somebody out. And it probably would have been Lewis Hall, or it would have been Tonali. It would have been someone who was being a real threat to us, because Tonali was running the match in many ways. Hall was up and down that line. It would have been them. It would have been take them out, make them think twice about getting on the ball again. Probably Hall would have been the best one because he's a younger player. It maybe would have made him a wee bit more worried, a wee bit more concerned, just because he hasn't got that experience. But someone would have said, let me go on him. Let me take him. I'll make sure he's not running up this line, or he's having second thoughts about running up this line again. So we missed that. We missed that. In terms of Bruno, that leadership was missing today. Whether you like it or not, we started the match with Martinez as captain. Then it went to Casemiro. Then it went to Harry Maguire. We actually went full circle and had Harry Maguire as our captain once more. I mean, that is amazing. The joy that so many fans, and maybe they'll not agree with us now, or maybe they will backtrack a wee bit due to the mini renaissance he's having right now. But the amount of fans who were delighted that Harry lost the captaincy and thought, yes, this is change. Well, he was back with the armband today. Thankfully, Bruno will be back for the next game. And who's the next game? Liverpool. Well, what do we say about Liverpool? Their form's incredible. Their form is absolutely incredible. It's scary to think that they came to Old Trafford and beat us 3-0, and now we have to go to Anfield. They're just coming off the back of beating Liverpool 5-0, Leicester 3-1, Tottenham 6-3. The same Tottenham that we just recently lost to. The same Tottenham who put 4 goals past us. Now, I know Tottenham are free scoring. If you can say anything about them, they tend to score goals. They beat Southampton 2-1. Drew with Fulham. Give Fulham credit, more credit to their name. Liverpool were a man down, however. They beat Girona 1-0. They drew 3-3 with Newcastle. In Newcastle. They beat City 2-0. They beat Real Madrid 2-0. Southampton, Villa, Leverkusen, Brighton twice, Arsenal they got a draw with. Man, they are going to be really tough opposition. Really, really tough. I honestly don't know what we're going to do for that match. I haven't a clue. Mo Salah is on fire. And we are rather pathetic. I think we probably have to play Lenny Yoro. And I think really that's just for his pace. If nothing else, I think Yoro is a great young player. I think he's going to be really important for us in the future. But is he ready for this big match already? I don't know. I haven't a clue. But I think he has to be in just for his pace, his recovery pace, because they're going to get beyond us so many times. And interestingly, I think we have to have Rashford back, who was on the bench today, by the way. Didn't get onto the pitch, which I was surprised about. I thought they would put him on. I think we have to have Rashford, and I think we have to have Garnacho, because we almost need something in behind. We almost need, dare I say it, we need Ollie tactics of soak up pressure and hit them on the break, because we've got nothing else right now. We've got nothing else. This 3-4-2-1, absolutely not working. And I'm very, very hopeful it will work next year. But right now, absolutely not working. Not at all. Not at all. It's scary to think how we're going to finish this season. Amarim has said we are in a relegation battle. He didn't say that, but the press are quoting it as that. You know, him replying to a question about relegation and saying something like that's very clear. We're not in a relegation battle. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Are we playing poorly? No, we're playing shit. But we should be able to turn it around. I'm almost trying to watch my words here in case I have to eat them. We will turn it around. We're not getting relegated. End of. Finish it. In terms of Liverpool, they're going for the title. They're going to go for the jugular. They beat us 3-0 in pre-season. They beat us 3-0 at the start of the season. If I was a betting man, I would be betting very strongly against Man United winning. This is almost one of those matches where if you put $1,000 on it, £1,000 on it, you would get a return of 1,005. It's so clear cut that Liverpool are going to win this. We really don't have a chance, and I'm going to go into it. You know, I'm saying this now because I'm just after that awful defeat. Come Sunday, I'm going to be so up for this. I'm going to be busting to win. But we've all read the script already. It's not going to happen. If we can't beat Newcastle, if we can't beat Bournemouth, if we can't beat Wolves, how are we going to beat the league leaders on their own turf? Our great rivals who will be so determined to beat us just for the joy of it. Just so they can lick their fingers and say that was delicious. We haven't a chance. We haven't a chance. I mean, if there is a team for Amarim to put out that can actually defeat Liverpool or escape with a draw, it's probably not a team that is in his formation. And that's the concerning thing. That's what a number of the pundits are talking about today. They're talking about the idea of, well, if you look at the statistics, we were actually better under Ten Hag. If you look at the statistics, we're scoring less goals. We're actually scoring less goals, and that was one of Ten Hag's major criticisms, that we couldn't score under him. We're conceding more goals. We're conceding more shots. Everything is turning up quite sour. It's really not good. He needs a pre-season, and I'm more than happy to give it to him. And I'll be honest with you, I'd be more than happy to give him all of next season as well. However, if we were, for example, 8th this time next season, I'd be worried. I'd be really, really worried. This is worse than Ten Hag. This is worse than Ten Hag right now. I have faith that it can be much better than Ten Hag. However, that leads me to my last point. Where's he going to get the money from to do this? I know we're Manchester United. I know we bring in loads of money, but we also have loads of debts. We have loads of issues that we need to address with money. And Sir Jim is deciding to not spend 40 grand here or there. That's not going to put a dent in what we can do player-wise. We need to get rid of these players, and who's going to want them? They're on crazy contracts. They're going to have to be a diminished price, and thus we don't get any value for money, and we can't invest it in the squad. So, what do you do? Well, the answer to that is you do what Chelsea have done. You have to sell your youth. Now, we don't have a great deal. Well, I was going to say we don't have a great deal of youth coming through. Our underage teams have done really, really, really well the last couple of seasons. There's some good players coming through. Shea Lacey, the likes of that. Harry Amass, you'd be interested in seeing what he can do maybe. Nobody, though, that's really going to get you 20 million. The same way that they were able to sell players willy-nilly for 20 million here or there. Except Alejandro Garnacho. Now, Garnacho came on today. He made absolutely no difference whatsoever. He has been dropped from the squad. He's been dropped from the team. And now he's getting on here and there. I'm worried. I'm very worried for Garnacho. I wonder if there are some things going on in the background. A number of people have been doing their conspiracy theory and thinking it's not Amorim who wants Rashford out. It's Sir Jim, because he wants the money. And I didn't believe it. I thought, no, that's garbage. And I do still. I think it is garbage. I think Amorim has seen something in Rashford and said, no, he's not for here. Garnacho, maybe he's not for here either. Maybe he's not here doing what he needs to do and what Amorim thinks needs to be done. And that does worry me. That really does worry me, because he is someone for the future. He's someone who you can get good money for, and all that money can be fully reinvested because he's a youth player. And I know he didn't, he's not a Manchester boy, but he's down in the books as a youth development. So we'd make pure profit. But this is someone who we should have been looking at and saying, no, he's going to be with us for 5 years before he goes to Real Madrid. He's going to become a top world player before he goes to Barcelona. That's what we should have been doing. And maybe that's still what we're going to do. But I am worried. I was speaking to my brother about it a couple of days ago, and I was saying, what is taking place with Garnacho? This is odd. And maybe it is just the disciplinary reasons. Maybe he just needs to fit into the system. But let's be honest, Garnacho does not fit into this system. Unless he's going to play wing back, which he absolutely is not going to do. Maybe there's no role for him in this system. I don't think Copy is on the same list as Rashford and Garnacho. I really don't. I think they see him as someone for the future. Someone for the now and the future, for that matter. But Garnacho, I'm tremendously worried about. I think, it'll come down to the idea of Garnacho will not be happy sitting on the bench. He'll not be happy coming on in a role and a position that he doesn't feel comfortable in. And so he may just say to United, and United might just say to him, do you know what, let's part ways. You'll get money in, I'll get my move to go to a club that is, let's be honest, probably playing in the Champions League. Probably playing beyond us right now. And it'll work for him. And we'll get some money in. But how much money do you take for Garnacho? Some people will say, 100 million. You won't get that. He's not played enough. He's not done enough in the game to warrant that price tag. If you look at his statistics in comparison to Jack Grealish, then he has. If that's 100 million, if that's the yardstick for 100 million, yes, Garnacho is worth 125-30. You can look at Jack Grealish and say, but he's won the Champions League, he's won the league. Yes, but what did he contribute exactly? Because in this last calendar year, he's contributed nothing. And that's a shame. That's a real shame. But I worry that we're not going to get that money. So, really worrying times ahead for United. We play Liverpool next. That is on Sunday. I don't envisage good things. Do not envisage good things. Anyway, that's all for today. We'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. If you've got any queries, any questions, leave it in the comments. If you have anything you want to add to the show, let me know. Like, subscribe, get in touch, be part of the show. Thanks for listening.